Darshana, quindi
Darshana, what do you mean exactly when you talk about being able to go beyond the mind and access a state of no mind in order to dissolve karma?
Stato di non mente per dissolvere il karma.
Dicevamo che la mente è qualcosa che
As we were just saying, the mind creates conditioning, or rather, the mind is the conditioning. It is the mind's experiences through the subconscious, the conscious, unconscious. That conditioning is formed, experiences of this life and past ones that become memories, but their quality is magnetic. They have anchored magnetically and keep repeating themselves like some sort of nemesis, something that comes back in a cycle. So our behaviors become the behaviors of the human species, the behaviors related to a species rather than another one, a race, a people, of an individual or a family. In reality, every one of these aspects is something that separates us from the whole and the sense of unity. We are one with everything, and are not different one from the other. The behaviors and the memories anchored to the mind have separated us and created the sense of being different one another. The state of no mind means free oneself from this magnetism, which is matrix. We cannot leave matrix, we live it. We are matrix. But what is matrix exactly? It's something that we have created through our behaviors. The flags we've flagged, the beliefs we have believed in, the philosophies we have introduced, the sciences that we have shared or not shared, the knowledge we have imposed or not imposed, religions we have practiced or not practiced. They're all thought structures. The thought is the mind, and the mind lies. Even the most elevated thought is a structure. To go beyond those structures means to leave our personalities, which are different levels of our ego, leave them behind. When earlier on I mentioned the lower consciousness, I was referring to an ego level. A passive ego is not conscious of itself. It acts and reacts. A middle consciousness has a more evolved ego, which, however, goes by self-imposed rules. It abides by those rules because they are imposed by society, by the law. That's the only reason why it handles the Archimedean pulsations, thanks to a moral law. A higher consciousness sees all this and is free from a driving ego. But still, it continues to have ego spaces when it dresses itself of splendor and gold, but still acts and reacts, perhaps at times in a very watered-down way, at other times with spite, and puts itself on a pedestal looking down on the rest of humanity and its daily suffering. This, for instance, make us be rich Westerners in front of a starving humanity. Make Eastern Indians divided into castes. A humanity that offends and kills in front of you. A humanity that is struggling, or a humanity that lands on Mars. This is the consequences of behaviors that have become aberrations. It's no longer a constructive thought. Nowadays, our planetary humanity is creating only aberrant thoughts. The presence, the existence of such extreme polarities, the sublime way of an awakened spirituality and the very low way of a humanity injured in its most vulnerable aspects, the children, women, a humanity that walks miles for its weekly glass of water, while there's another humanity that uses up to 16 liters of water each time a toilet is flushed. This extreme polarities is nothing but the manifestation of the aberration of our thinking. It's no longer a humanity that is philosophically growing or that is generating a revolution like it could have been back in the early 1900s. with the Industrial Revolution, with all the opportunities that was offering. The only way for humanity to go beyond all this is the way of the Spirit. Not a way linked to a religion or another thought form, but the way of an awakened consciousness. The awakened consciousness lends itself to listening of others, to sharing and communion, to the reallocation of resources. It questions the belief that recycling is a Western luxury, nor the result of a higher consciousness, but is on the other hand a necessity for our society. Humanity, as it is now, is heading towards extinction. Scientists have been aware of this for some time now and have been raising their hands. When humanity will no longer have air to breathe, water to drink, and fruits to eat, and our lands will become more and more arid, we will have to change our autonomic nervous system and change our eating habits. Our physical, genetic system will have to change. Changing at the genetic level through the activation of other DNA helices is therefore not only a necessity of the spirit or a new age joke, it's a species necessity. This is why the vibration of EOS that I carry, the vibration that the light masters, the cosmic healers, Melchizedek, the ever-arriving, the Elohim of the light that I have offered through the vehicle that I am, EOS energy will lead us to such an awareness of the suvramental consciousness that our vibration will raise so much that it will work at the genetic level to generate the new species, the human divine species. A species that will change the morphological features of its body, its chrono-biogenealogical lineage, dissolving karma cycle, as well as behavior cycle. To become vegan, or eat raw food, or be fruitarian will be normal, part of daily routine. It will be normal for the majority of humanity to become breatharian, that is, feed oneself only on light and prana, because the cellular structure will change completely. The so-called body of light will be a necessity for this new species, who will be living on a modified planet. In 100 years, we will not know how to hydrate or feed ourselves if we do not restore some agricultural archetypes and start growing our land, which is no longer the same. EOS is not an energy distant from our daily life, from what we need to be every day. Awakening realization of the self means to be fully living our life. A realized person is not out of its time. A self-realized person can wear lipstick. It's not one to be dressed in kimonos. It's not an image or an icon. A self-realized person is what we shall all be, and we will be one with life, but even take responsibility for some financial concepts, like resource allocation. What does it mean to reallocate our resources? It means to reallocate the role of our liver and that of our heart. Liver deals with blood purification, purification of our thoughts, actions, behavior. Heart deals with acceptance. Co-participation. I'm not talking about compassion, which can be seen as a Christ-related concept. I'm talking about co-participation of the other's feelings. I take your feelings upon me. I make my life one of service. I serve my neighbor. I do not fight against him in the context of a condominium. I do not erect buildings that are conflict cells because there is no light, no air, no balconies or green areas. I participate in a humanity that continually becomes listening to the deepest requirements of the human being. It's not a philosophical or religious concept. It's the only chance we have to keep on living on this planet. Otherwise, humanity will drive itself to extinction. If we want to evolve, we must flow into a new species. That is a new quality of our genes, a new quality of our body, in order to experience in a different way nutrition and thought or behaviors nutrition. EOS liberates you from conditioning because it liberates you from karma by taking you into a state of no mind. What does no mind mean? Does it mean to become void? No. It means to become full of the whole. A self-realized person will continue to insert the key in the hole and will keep on driving a car, but he will do so remembering that everything or action belongs to the substance of the whole. There will be no conflict in his actions, but only knowledge sharing. The possibility of this new species will be handed over to new generation. We're just preparing the grounds. So may a lot of people join my teaching so that we can start building a time of peace and realization, and which will be picked a few years down the line. The new species will have both human and suvramental qualities, or divine. Yes, the aim is to awaken all of our DNA helices, but not for personal power, rather to participate into the community. I become more intuitive with regards to your requirements so that I can take it upon me to fulfill them, or at least to share them with you. I become clairaudient to receive messages from the trees, flowers, or the animals. If I become telepathic with the animal kingdom, I will become less cruel. The necessity to be a vegan is most probably due to the fact that part of humanity who has chosen it, it's because it has become telepathic with the animal world. They can't be bloody anymore, not kill the prey, let alone in a massive way. Millions of chickens to feed what? What kind of hunger? So to become vegan is a way to align with our cells' requirement. It's not a choice dictated by fashion. To become fruitarian means that most probably we will be able to telepathically get in touch with the qualities that nature offers us, and therefore we open up to suvramental abilities and go beyond all the conditioning that the human thought has been generating for itself up until now. It's also a healing path. It may seem difficult to undertake it, but it's not so. EOS is not a difficult practice. Its teachings are not difficult because they contain archetypes, and therefore they will reach your heart, your ear in the easiest way. And you can carry it with you in your daily life in a very simple way, affecting your actions, and from here the leap to the shift to transmutation, transformation into something much wider, into something that is immense, just like you are immense. Or immense are your consciousness and your soul. If you think that only the 10% of our human brain is exploited, and that 10% will let it influence the remaining 90%, therefore, by offering you the awakening, the possibility to liberate yourself from all conditioning of that 10%, to allow you to live the totality of the other 90%, and put it to the humanity's service. Darshana, as we are nearing the end of this meeting, this interview with you, can you explain how the totality of the concepts you have expressed so far are an integral part of what you call the second arrival and the overcoming of duality? The second arrival is the living community. All that I hold, I teach, I share as consciousness field is totally aligned with this concept. but not as something that will happen from the outside. We're not waiting for a Messiah. We are waiting for the community. We are waiting for the human, earthly community to become a place of union, sharing, co-participation, a place of acceptance, that it may welcome the different in that word one, that we're all with all, that we are with everything. It's not a religious or a philosophical or scientific nor a spiritual concept. It's a necessity of our time, of our souls, which through the ages and the various consciousness levels has decided to be here today in order to become living flesh, living substance, and give sense to all of our masters' teachings, Buddha, Platone, Leonardo, or Galileo's discoveries. Forgive me if I put everything together. The awakening of Kant or the Sistine Chapel in Michelangelo's gesture. What's the purpose of it all, if not the wish for a time when everything can be united through the living community, and through every single human being who becomes bearer of all this, and he does it liberating himself from suffering, from the daily needs or the disease itself. Liberating from and overcoming duality means going into the state of no mind where everything becomes peace, quietness. Everything is liberated in order to heal, to head towards a new era. This new era is still unknown to us. During major shifts, we have only been able to guess what it would have been like on the other side. We only guessed what we could have been, how we could have been in the year 2000. Remember those movies like 1999 Space Odyssey that we watched in the late 60s? When we were little children and we looked at 1999 as if it was so far away from us. Now we are in 2017. And perceive 2025 or 2035 as faraway times. These dates, in fact, are real milestones in the awakening of this humanity. We shall astrologically enter the age of Aquarius, the golden age in the year 2035. We will head towards this huge galactic shift by becoming the living community. It is happening, and therefore it happens and will happen. This will come true if our hearts can meet one another. May everyone awaken to the power of love, to a consciousness that generates unity. The sense of unity, the overcoming of opposites, is what the energy of EOS facilitates. EOS synchronically joins together the hemispheres, dualities within you, male, female, in a sort of androgynous quality of the consciousness, which is the sacred feminine. I bear the sacred feminine as mother, a mother that hosts within herself everything. May you become the mother of yourself, your own father-mother, that who generates his life in unity, in wholeness every moment, in participation with the earthly human as one, of the galactic humanity as one. All of that is as one within you. Only by doing so you will become the new species, that humanity you have been waiting for and you wish you were. Thank you, Darshana. On this occasion, too, the people who have met you had the chance to get in touch with your consciousness field and live the experiences that you have so well explained during this interview. So I do hope that you can soon return to Milan and for another event, and on top of attracting again the numerous people who attended tonight, that also new people will arrive Maybe those people who wish to awaken through the vehicle that you are, as well as the technology, the method that you, the method, if we want to call it that way, of EOS, which I can personally testify as being an extremely powerful tool, simple and fast, unique in all the qualities that it incorporates. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to find something comparable. Thank you, Darshana. Thank you. You have been very kind and generous. And thank you, everyone, for this possibility of talking to you about my path and the energy I bring. See you soon then.
qualcosa del mio percorso e di ciò che è lei. A presto dunque.